I've got this small laundry room that is in need of some storage. So I'm heading to the hardware store for a 6-foot 1x12. First, I'll mark the board right in the middle at 3 feet using a speed square to get a perfectly straight line. Since my saw won't cut through the full width in one go, I'll cut halfway, flip the board, and finish from the other side. Next, I'm drilling 1-inch holes using a spade bit. I'll use my jigsaw to cut a groove between those holes. After a quick sanding to round off the edges, I'm applying my favorite gunstock stain with a towel for an even finish. For the install, I'm using special folding brackets. Since I don't have a stud finder, I'll use a magnet to locate the screws in the drywall. I'll mount the first bracket, use a level to keep everything straight, and then secure the rest of the screws. Now, look how great that is folded against the wall. And look how easy it is to snap it up into place. I've got some folding shelves for that laundry, and look what those grooves are for, holding onto those hangers. I think this thing turned out great, and when I'm not using it, I can just flip those little levers and down they go. My wife has always been wanting some more storage space in the laundry room. It starts with this little gap between the washer and the dryer. I need some 1x8s and 1x3s. Then I need to measure in between the washer and dryer to get the width. This one seems to be 24 inches. And then I need to get the height, and it's exactly 36 inches. So let's start measuring and cutting boards. We're going to cut 2 boards of the 1x8s at 32.5. Once we get both of those boards cut, what we're going to then do is go ahead and mark the next boards, and we're going to mark 2 of those at 24 inches. And then we need 2 more on the 1x8s at 22.5. We're going to take all these boards and cut them. Now, I'm using my miter saw. You can definitely use a jigsaw if you need to also. Once we get the front and the back cut, these are the longer boards, we're going to put the bottom on. This is our first 24-inch board. Now, I like to use my little brad nailer. You can definitely use screws if you want, but again, I will always say, make sure you pre-drill, especially towards the ends of the boards. If you pre-drill, you're less likely to split the boards. Now, once we get the bottom on, we're going to put the middle shelf on. I'm going to go 17 inches from the top. That's going to give me enough room to put some items on there and not worry if I'm running out of room or not. Again, I'm using the brad nailer to put this board in. Now, every shelf is going to need a little barrier to keep everything in. So, what we're going to do is cut these 1x3s that I got. We're going to put those on the inside. Now, if you're sick of measuring, just use each board, the first one you cut, and use it to mark and cut the rest. Every shelf is going to need a little board on each side. That's going to hold our items in. Again, using that brad nailer. Once I put that first side piece in on the bottom shelf, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put the next one on. Also, I'm going to nail it from the bottom. That's going to make it super strong. Now, some of these cuts don't line up exactly perfect. That's okay, because we're going to sand it later. Once you run that sander up and down, it's going to get those edges nice and smooth. A lot of this wood is rough. That's okay. Once we get that on the bottom, we're going to put some wheels. Definitely need 4 of them. Now, these are caster wheels. Again, since we're towards the edge of the board, make sure you pre-drill. And we want to make sure the screws we put in are not too long. There's nothing worse than those popping out at the bottom. Once we get that wheel on, it's going to be perfect. Look how it spins just like this. It's great. Now for the top. That's the last board we got, and it's 24 inches. And I got a surprise. We're going to put a hinge on the back. As you can tell, this is definitely the back of the board just because of that little blemish on that piece of wood right there. Once we get that hinge on, look at that. I've got a little hiding shelf right there. Now, what I need to do is sand it. A lot of these boards feel smooth, but we want to sand them because they got a little bit of a film on them. So run some 80 grit, then up to 220, run it up and down the sides and make it look nice. And then you can either paint or put your favorite stain on. I like to stain it with a rag. Makes it go on and nice and even for me. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to get this all stained up. I'm going to put a handle on it, and it's time to put it in place. And just look at that. It fits right in between the washer and the dryer. And with that handle, I can pull it out and store all my items there. Now, the best part about that little hidden spot on top is you don't have to pull it out every time. This is going to have our pods, and we can also grab our dryer sheet, so we're not pulling it out between every load. I hope this inspired you to build your own laundry room extra storage container. I've got a laundry problem, too much to do and nowhere to store it. So I'm going to head down to my hardware store and I'm going to grab some good lumber. A 1x3 and 1x2s. Make sure you get them pretty straight. On 2 of these 8-foot boards, we're going to mark them right in half, a little bit above the 4-foot mark. Then I'm going to cut them. Now, we're going to set 2 of these legs aside because we're going to work on one side at a time. Take these 2 legs, separate them, and then we're going to start building a box. As you can see, I'm going to use glue. Glue is so strong compared to screws or nails. So what you do is you take good wood glue, you separate it out, put the board on top, and I'm just going to use little brad nails to hold it in place. This is going to allow the glue to dry, and it's going to be super strong. We're going to box this out, and then once we get the 2 sides built, we're going to measure the basket, and it comes out to about 24 inches. As you can see, that's how we have to separate it. Build the top and the bottom, again using the 1x3s. Just use these, and this could be a one-person job if you use a clamp to hold it in place on one side. Now, as you can see, the box is starting to form. If it's a little bit off, don't worry. We'll take care of that when it comes to sanding. We'll go on the other side, again using glue and a little bit of brad nails. Now it's time to build the top. Again, using 1x3s on the top, I'm going to do 5 of these. Again, as you can see, I got glue. Now it's time to build the racks and the sliders that the baskets will go on. I'm going to put some glue down again along the sides as I measure it out for 3 baskets, all equal sizes up and down. This one doesn't use a 1x3, uses a 1x2. We'll put this in place again with glue and using the brad nails to hold it in place. See that little bevel I put on the side? That's so it doesn't catch the basket. Here's the top. You can see the 5 slots that I put in. Now this is the facial board that I'm going to put in. It fits really nice, but we want to hold it in place again. This is where we can put little letterings or signs on. Using the brad nail, hold it in place. Once we do that, it's time to sand. Now, the reason you want to sand is it takes stain and everything better. But I've got a secret. We're not going to use stain on this. I'm going to use something different, but don't be intimidated. We're going to use a torch. That's right. We're going to burn this wood and give it a special look. As you can see here, I'm showing you that it can go too fast and it won't do the job. What you got to do when you're using a torch, don't be nervous, go a little bit slower. See how when we do that, it brings the grain out? It doesn't burn all the wood. It just takes that wood grain and really sets it apart, giving it a very dark look. Now, it looks like it could possibly be burning the wood. That's only temporary. It just gives it a nice shine, and then you can finish it off with some poly. Now, here is the final project. I used my Cricut machine, put a laundry symbol on it, and decorated it up, and it turned out amazing. 3 baskets tall and a little shelf on top to hold things. There's that bevel right there so the baskets don't get caught when I'm putting them on. And look at that. You can barely see any of the nails because we use glue to hold it together. With all the laundry in, it's still super strong. And it slides in and out with ease. It's great for the family, and they absolutely loved it. Laundry time now doesn't have to be a chore. I hope this inspired you to build your own DIY laundry basket rack. Thank you for watching Home Talk, and we'll see you next time.